Hey, Paul.
Hey, guys.
What's happening, man?
All good, man. Highlight of the week this week was getting to play in the CRJ simulator, but yesterday, which was
true story.
Was a big jaw.
That was cool.
Among many other highlights this week.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
hidden amongst a good week. I was pretty. It was pretty nice to get back in that CRJ and fly it around a bit.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And it's like seeing your old mate again.
Yes.
Type of vibe.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I was actually pretty impressed with our recall of certain calls and procedures there.
We hadn't completely lost it.
No.
It was still there.
It was there. Looking around for a few switches, but it was all there.
Yeah.
That amongst the election yesterday.
Yeah, big news, eh? And I think, probably about the best outcome we could have hoped for.
Yeah, look, no hiding that. I'm chuffed with that. I just tired of all the bullshit that's around lots of things. But more than that, Ryan, what I'm so chuffed about and what is so evident is the power of podcasting and independence, like what we're trying to do, because that was a massive difference. The Rogan podcast, Patrick Bet David, all the work that those guys put in. I mean, I ended up watching that PBD live the whole morning. It was just so interesting.
Yeah.
These independent media guys, talking their way through it, and it was just I almost felt like part of the club, not from the American politician side of the thing, but from the podcasting side of it. I felt like this is becoming even more powerful, and I do believe just with us this year, there seems to have been a bit of growth there that hasn't been there in the past. And I don't think it's just we haven't really changed things up. Look, we've got a new studio and things like that, but ultimately I think the platform and this type of media is just becoming more and more popular. People don't want to look at or watch old-fashioned news stories and the rubbish that's on all the news platforms. People are tired of it. I think written media is taking a dive, and the podcasts are shining through. Look, obviously I'm saying it as a podcaster, but it's pretty evident to see. I mean, if you want news, you know where to come.
Yeah, exactly. You're watching a platform where I think most podcasters, us, the likes of Rogan, PBD and all that, cut the bullshit, get straight to the point, and you speak about things that are relevant and to the point. Obviously, we don't have the backing of a mainstream media, pulling all the resources for the exact facts and all that, but even they get it wrong.
Yeah,
and
but that's what it's all about.
Not governed by their fucking wokeness.
Yeah, and it's a conversation. I think that's the important thing, is that you're having a conversation. Obviously, Trump was on Rogan. He spoke for 3 hours. I think Lex Friedman posted, wouldn't it be nice now that the president goes back onto a podcast like that in 2 years' time and has another 3-hour chat about how things are going and how are these plans that you were going to implement, how things are actually working for you? Because that'll set the precedent now for the future, where you're not going to get asked a 5-minute softball question by a news anchor that is paid to say the right thing. You now have to actually answer a legitimate question by an independent podcaster that's got no other interests other than the podcast.
The conversation aspect of it was really cool, though, particularly with Rogan and Trump. I mean, the questions Joe asked him, things like, what was it like walking into the White House for the first time?
Yeah, didn't quite answer that question.
Yeah, but it was you kind of got like a behind the scenes thing, which you don't normally get from the mainstream bullshit.
True.
And I had to laugh though, because did you see Trump's comments on pilots?
Yeah, he was very pro pilots.
100%. Yeah, look, he's not a fan of Tom Cruise.
No. No, he's not.
But pro pilots. I thought that was pretty cool. So I mean, that was another reason for me to like Trump.
Yeah, he actually spoke really highly of pilots. So that was actually quite nice to
Yeah.
Quite nice to see. The Elon interview the day before the election was incredible.
Yeah.
That was the most sincere I've ever seen Elon Musk.
Of course.
And I mean, that looks my hero. I mean, him and Rogan together, my two heroes. But to watch Elon there the night before basically saying just go out and vote and like talking to the camera.
Yeah.
I've never seen him do that before.
That was a hell of a cool convo. It also highlighted again what, like we were just saying a few minutes ago back in the office when we were talking, what an incredible guy that Oak is. I mean, we always, such a busy day, such a busy week. But like you quite rightfully said, when you've got as much going on as he does.
Yeah, how do you balance?
And he still gets time to play video games. Shit.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive individual.
Well, we are an aviation podcast channel, so should we jump into pretty much the main news story of the week? And it's local. The Air Service License Council found SAFAIR non-compliant with South African regulations on foreign ownership, risking its foreign license. FlySafair's shareholding by island-based ASL Aviation Holdings exceeds the 25% foreign ownership cap, prompting potential sanctions. FlySafair, of course, disputes the ruling. They're seeking legal clarification and aims to resolve the issue swiftly to avoid disruptions in air travel. What's your take on this thing? And obviously it came mainly from what looks like Lyft and Airlink submitted, they said, look, these oaks are doing things illegally. I find it hard to believe that SAFAIR haven't checked this all out very, very, I'm sure they're pretty confident that they're doing the correct thing and they have their house in order.
It's not the first time I think they've come under fire for this. When they first started out, they were, there was a bit of a delay in their initial start back in 2014 or wherever it was, because of this sort of thing, which I think they got sorted out then. But then it was always a fight for them, and I think this was overlooked through the whole COVID thing. Now it's rearing its head. The important thing is there are other bigger issues for this industry to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather sort out the ATNS cuck before giving SAFAIR a hard time for this.
Yeah, SAFAIR kind of do their bits in employing people and running a very good operation. I would just like to see businesses just do what you do and just be good at it and provide the best product and don't worry too much about what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
That's what I would like in an ideal world. We know it's not like that. Just like, I'd like there to be clarity on this for them sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
If something did happen, let's say worst case scenario, they get their license pulled, not good for us here at all. Not good. The prices will skyrocket. It'll be utter chaos. I do not see that happening.
There'll be a lot of people stranded because the volume that they take up in the market is just too big.
Yeah,
so
I just do not see that happening.
No, I don't think so.
They'll sort it out. I'm pretty sure their legal counselors are going to come up with some sort of plan.
I was just about to say there might be a lawyer or two driving around in a brand new Ferrari very soon, but
yeah.
Whistleblowers at Air Traffic Navigation Services claim that jobs for PALs has led to mismanagement, risking air safety. Allegations include unqualified appointments and misuse of resources, resulting in critical infrastructure failures. The public protector is processing these claims, but no investigation has started yet. That was out of the Citizen, entitled "Jobs for PALs Threatens South African Air Safety." Nothing that we don't really know other than is there any meat to that article, or is it just a load of rubbish?
No, I think it's got merit. I think it is definitely one of the factors that's led to this
Demise.
decay in ATNS.
Can we chat about ATNS quickly from an ATC point of view? Maybe Andy Evans can jump in here and give us a comment there. Is it not just a factor here, like with so many pilots, that ATCs were so in demand that the better opportunities overseas for more money, better working conditions, so they've all left?
Yeah.
Or is it a case that ATNS is just such a shambles that no one wants to? You see where I'm going? Is it that the money to go work in Dubai is so much better, similar to, I suppose, from a flying perspective, a pilot perspective, and obviously you're talking about, I would assume, a far smaller pool of people, a lot more pilots than ATCs. So if you lose out on a few ATCs, suddenly you got big problems, whereas pilots are a little bit more available, freely available.
No, exactly. I don't think... well, it was said in one of the articles that they can't, because they're such a shambles, train ATCs up fast enough. But it's also largely because of all the internal bureaucracy and bullshit. Yeah. So they probably could very easily sort things out, but there's not that desire to get things right there because they're busy lining their pockets.
And there's also, I don't believe, a desire for someone to come out of school and say, I'm going to be an air traffic controller. I just don't hear lots of people. I don't see a huge amount of interest there. It needs to be promoted. We need to be speaking about it a bit more and, show the importance of that job, because it's a flipping important job.
It's a highly stressful job, and you can't just go and take any idiot and make them an ATC.
No.
I think to a large degree, sometimes just as stressful, if not more stressful than flying.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's got to be attractive enough. You got to see a few more ATC drivers or ATC driving around in Porsches, and then okay, well,
yeah,
maybe the juice is worth the squeeze.
Maybe you're right. So it boils down to finance, maybe. Upgrades at Cape Town International Airport are set to start in 2026, funded by AXA's 21.7 billion infrastructure fund. The upgrades include the new runway, expanded terminals, improved security, and self-service facilities. The project was initially planned for 2020, but was delayed due to some scam. Cape Town new runway? Are they going to parallel that 19 and 01 vibe? What are they doing there?
I must go and do some research on this. I know there was all sorts of ideas.
I looked, but I couldn't find anything.
There was.
So if you know about it, maybe let me know.
I don't even know if they have a capacity to...
They don't. There's hardly any space there. So I suppose it's just maybe...
There was all that talk about this new Cape Winelands airport that was supposed to be opening somewhere, but where?
Maybe we should have done more homework on it before we mentioned it.
Yeah.
Ethiopian Airlines has received Africa's first A350-1000, marking a significant milestone for African aviation. The handover ceremony took place at Toulouse, with the aircraft set to arrive in Addis. The new addition is the first of 4 350-1000s ordered to meet the growing global demand. So they're the first to get it.
Cool.
The 1000 looks cool, though.
Yeah.
It's the best looking one.
Kind of looks the same to me as the 900. It's just longer.
Yeah, I know, but it's just a nice look. The 350 in general is just such a nice looking aircraft.
Nice,
Boeing workers ended a 7-week strike after 58% of union members approved a new contract with a 38% pay rise. The deal includes ratification bonus and additional payments, praise for setting a new standard in the aerospace industry. It cost Boeing a massive amount of money. I don't want to commit to this amount that it's got here from the article that I read, because to me but it's saying here $100 million a day the strike was actually costing them. And I can't see how that is in fact true. But I looked it up a few times and that's what it said. But I'm not putting my head on the block for that one. It seems like just too much. But it's now come to an end, and they've got, the workers at least have got what they were after. So it's good that has now come to an end. And with Trump in power, is this maybe the turning point that Boeing needed? Because he's not going to let Boeing go down the tubes, is he? No ways.
I can't see that happening. No.
So maybe this is like maybe those Boeing shares of mine.
Yeah, maybe they're
going to start pumping. Speaking about some of the shares, didn't you buy Joby?
No, I didn't. I've been too scared to throw my money at
anything.
like talking as if I have money. Well, like, what the fuck ever. Yeah.
They debuted their electric air taxi in Japan, showcasing a quiet, efficient design. Toyota has invested heavily now in Joby. So that's a good endorsement, aiming to advance air mobility technology together. The air taxis are ideal for congested cities, plans to launch in the US with Delta and Uber. So this is happening, eh?
Yeah.
It's proper now. It's now taken the next step. Joby's the way to go. I've got one share.
Is it? Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think it's we're barreling towards the future in that sense. I can't wait. It's going to be so much easier to get
I wonder what that'll cost. Like, let's say you want to, I suppose you could catch like an air taxi from here near OR to Lanseria or something. You know, you can miss out on that four-ways debacle going through.
I would just dig it for my daily commute, man.
Yeah, but these things are going to be so expensive. But you're never going to own something like this. You're never going to own it yourself. You're going to be like Ubering around on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just cannot see how they can make this cheap enough that you can just jump on whenever you want and go.
It's going to be a long time before it actually does become a thing here in South Africa, I think.
It's going to be a hell of a long time, but you're going to travel, you're going to be overseas, they're going to have these things and you're going to use it.
For sure.
Huh? Pretty cool. Air France, what was the story with their Red Sea debacle the other night?
So
you came up with a good point. I thought this was, what are these like smoking?
No, they're cruising along. I can't remember where the routing was.
Near Sudan somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere there. But the two pilots saw a luminous object. And I think they must have shat themselves because they were very close to the airspace where all this nonsense is going on with Iran and Israel, throwing missiles at each other. And they probably thought there's something coming towards them. So they pulled out the QRH and looked for the air combat maneuvers of the 777, realized there are none. And so... as a result, they've decided to not send the airplanes near that area.
Yeah, tensions in the Middle East have led to increased caution by airlines in the region. Yeah, what do you do? Yeah.
You shit yourself.
Yeah.
No, it's actually...
It's not Ayoba.
It's a serious thing. I mean, you're bombing along in that area.
Don't use the word bomb,
anymore. Yeah, because that's also a thing now.
Yeah. Shit. No,
so you
flying Pike and say whatever you want.
So you're cruising along at level 370 or whatever. In that area now, in particular, you've got GPS spoofing. Yeah. You've got luminous objects cruising around all over the place. And there's airlines with bomb threats. There's a lot for the Oaks to be stressed about.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Air Canada is bringing two 767s that were grounded in 2020 back into service to meet demand. The planes were stored in Arizona and prepared for use next year. The decision is due to delays in receiving new aircraft from Boeing, but Airbus as well. So they're taking two of their stored donkeys out to go fly again. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Just as well, they've got that...
What if they're going to fly them to Amsterdam?
Yeah, they've got that big desert with all those areas parked and preserved. At least there is that backup. Man.
Yeah, for sure. The Crowdstrike story, been following this one. Delta went after Crowdstrike. It went backwards and forwards. They weren't going to sue each other. They were going to work together. Then Delta filed a class action lawsuit. Now Crowdstrike have hit back. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you need to know.
100%.
There was another story as well, just rewinding back to Safair. It was thrown in an article that was talking about the whole License Council foreign ownership story. But it was to do with the pilots going on strike through solidarity. Did you look into that?
No.
It did mention that they're something to do with their roster rules and 90-something% of the pilots voted in favor for that strike. Don't really know what's happening there. And then they also got a bit of heat this week, to use your bomb word there, where the crew weren't told that there was a verified bomb threat on one of the aircraft. So they were told to go and taxi to a bay far away from the aircraft terminal, but the crew weren't informed. So this happens in business, I suppose. It certainly happens with the airlines. You see it a lot. Sort of the news goes in these waves.
Yeah.
You only hear positive things about, particularly Safair, and now all of a sudden there's sort of a string of negative things that have popped up. But we'll keep an eye on it. To me,
yeah, I see that particular story like raised a bit of a shitstorm on Fly Africa, because there was lots of comments again with varying opinions as to, who should know and when should they know about that particular threat.
Yeah, we know everything about opinions.
Yeah.
We like to have our own opinion. But I don't know. Sometimes people are looking for... I left a comment. I think I spoke about it on the show last week. I said, we like to speak about positive things, and then I sort of made the comment like, geez, but when you're speaking about something negative, you tend to get the views, the downloads. And some guy commented, people like to click on, negative news, which is 100% true. I think a lot of these things are
clickbait.
Not even, it's such a niche little industry, but still, you're likely to, hey, there's shit going down at Safair. Let me see what it's all about.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I know. Look, I mean, as I say, in the same breath, they're advertising for first officers.
Yes.
So, there's job creation, which we are always a big proponent of. I mean, it's one of the airlines that create movement within our industry. So,
on a positive note for them, they also signed with the cricket team, eh?
Yeah, the Proteas.
The men and the women team.
Is there a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, leave it.
Yeah.
Right. So coming up this weekend, no, not this weekend. Sorry, UFC 309 is on the 17th of November. John Jones, Stipe Miocic. That's going to be cool. And Bo Nichols also fighting there. So that's coming up soon. That's going to be legit. But there's seriously good rugby this weekend.
There is. We are playing
Ireland. We are playing Scotland.
Yes.
But that's only on Sunday.
Sunday at 6:10.
At 6:10.
Like,
but on Friday, at 10:10, Ireland is playing New Zealand. That's going to be legit because there's a bit of niggle between those two teams.
Yeah.
So that is, 10 past. It seems weird, but it is.
I hate it when these games are like so late. I mean, definitely not going to watch that one.
Whatever, Grandpa. And then England, Australia, that's on the Saturday. And Kenya, Uganda as well, which I think I'll give a skip.
Yeah. You see, they take a game like that and they put it at a reasonable time when it's the nicest time of the day to have a Bryan, a couple of beers going.
True.
Shit.
It was all in all a pretty good, positive week for us. The year is coming to we're going to do another Shoot the Breeze episode today.
Yeah, and then you went all formal on me.
I went all formal because there was a few things that were worth chatting about. But I think we'll do a Shoot the Breeze maybe next week. If you don't know what a Shoot the Breeze is, you're probably going to want to miss that one because it's just Ryan and I having a chat.
Yeah.
Preferably after a couple of cold ones, depending on how the week goes. But that's the plan. Podcast is doing well. It's growing. I really, really appreciate your guys' support. Please keep supporting it. Click on that like button, subscribe. It makes a massive difference. And please pass it on to whoever might be interested. Want to up the engagement a bit there? We
we're pushing it as hard as we possibly can, and we do need your support. Can't thank our patrons enough for the support that they give us. If you want to become a patron, link is there in the notes.
Can I ask you a quick question before you drop the mic here?
Yeah.
You made notes here on Beyonce, Cardi B, and J-Lo.
Yeah, and then above that, Trump, Elon, and Dana.
Yeah,
last night. So, obviously, going back to the election stuff, all the endorsements on both sides of the campaign. You had all these celebrities on the left with, the Beyonce, this Cardi B that couldn't even speak because they didn't have a teleprompter. J-Lo, who's probably going to be implicated in the Diddy stuff and all the rest. And then on the other side, you had Trump, Elon, and Dana White all sitting at a table together. And I thought, you know what? And Patrick Bet-David mentioned this. He said, we have to make the most of the next 4 years because it has been chaos. The last 4 years really were, and you take the pandemic before that and then leading into this 4-year period, things have been pretty tough. People have been, there's been censorship with a lot of things. You're too scared of saying certain things, and hopefully now there is a little bit of a change. And I just think that seeing that our show started on the premise of motivation and encouraging people to do things and to get out there and actually, go and live your dream or whatever it is, but go and, make the most of the situation that's ahead. I don't think there's a better time than now to actually go and do that.
Yeah. Because
there is a bit of a change of power there. There's a change of dynamic. People are fed up with all the bullshit that's been around the past few years. But again, there was a thing on Fly Africa. Some oak was having a mug and bean breakfast in the terminal, and then went on a bit of a rant about, they've given me knives and forks. Don't AXA do their safety? And like everyone called this oak out on it, like, wind your neck and brew. And we need more of that shit. If we say something that is bullshit or that's call us out on it. Don't, and I think we're entering a bit of an era that just maybe there's a bit of, there's maybe opportunity that wasn't there, that is there.
So to tone down the wokeness.
To tone down, exactly, to tone down the wokeness.
100%.
And that's why I wrote it there. Thanks for reminding me, because, the pod was started on that premise. Like, guys, we were in the pandemic there and no one knew what the hell to do. The only thing you could do was be positive and see the bright side of the future, which I think we did. But, then you go through a period where everything sort of settles down. Now I think we're given another boost. And you've actually got to go and make the most of this, the next 4. You don't know what's coming. Yeah. So you have to make the most of it.
Absolutely.
And obviously, I don't mean that all your problems are now solved because Trump is in power. That's not the case. However, a lot of this bullshit that's been around, men competing in women's sports, I think that's going to come to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, because I've got a little daughter, and if there is a little dude that's trying to get tough on my daughter in a sports game, then the father's going to catch a puss club. Because, and at least now I know I've got the backing of the American president. But you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of bullshit that's been there. Yeah. And I think this is maybe the catalyst we need just to get the men back into a position of being a man and to stop whimpering around what we say and too scared to do this because we might offend someone. Yeah. If you are offended, then don't watch. Go choose another channel.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love it. That is about the most exciting part about this for me as well is hopefully there's like you say, less woke bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
On that note.
Stay woke, go broke.
Shot, guys.
Bye for now.
Cheers.